All right, what's up, Buff fans? Welcome to Folsom Field. Beautiful night here. I'm here with Harrison Simeon, Matt Spivack, and we got a good one tonight. Number 18, Kansas State comes to town to face on the Colorado Buffaloes. And man, Big 12. Big 12's been shaken up a whole lot. Big Arizona State win last night. BYU came in clutch today. This conference is shaken up totally. I think the only undefeated teams left are Colorado, West Virginia, BYU, Texas Tech, and Iowa State, if I'm not mistaken. So what are you guys looking for in this game tonight? What sticks out to you so far?
What sticks out to me is just how wide open the conference really is. We had no clue. I mean, we thought Kansas State, they were big contenders. We thought Utah, we thought Oklahoma State, the latter two of which are really struggling right now. So I'm looking to see how the Buffs can fare against likely the last big contender that's still going strong. So I'm looking to see if Colorado can, really come out with a fast start and just never look back from there. Though, if we can win this game, it would be even more of a statement than UCF was, and that was a statement that's on its own. So really gonna be interested to see what happens.
I feel like the winner of this game almost takes control of this conference, establishes themselves as the top dog of the conference so far. Obviously, those other teams are playing good, but this is the first big head-to-head matchup of the top dogs we've had so far. So, Matt, what are you looking for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams coming off their bye week, another big test for Colorado. Can they stop this rushing offense from K-State? I mean, they average over 250 rushing yards a game. It's going to be similar to that UCF game, and let's see if they can really hold them under 175 yards. I would say that would be a benefit.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And big thing, Avery Johnson is the guy to watch tonight at Kansas State. He's their quarterback. CU faced a running quarterback. I want to say last week. It's been so long. It's been 2 weeks since CU's played. KJ Jefferson was a running quarterback. He is not the same as Avery Johnson. He was a powerful guy. He's 250 pounds. He's running it up the middle. Avery Johnson is quick. He's elusive. He's going to try and scramble on his runs. And if you don't keep your integrity in your pass rush lanes, if you don't stay home on options, he will torch you up. He's second on the team right now in yards with 321 rushing yards. He's got 44 carries. That's also second on the team. And he has 2 rushing touchdowns to go with his 9 passing touchdowns through the air. So that's a big key. And then they got DJ Giddens, big number 31, just a ridiculous combination of power and burst from the backfield. He can do any run you want. He's leading the team right now. He is going ridiculous. 7.3 yards per carry, 604 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground. And then we got the third face in the backfield, familiar foe, Dylan Edwards. He's not their main guy, but everyone here who's watched Colorado football in the past, they know how explosive Dylan Edwards is. He's third on the team in rushes and in rushing yards. So are you guys looking to see how this team matches up? One thing I will say, last week, UCF ran a wheel route on RJ Harvey, and they got a mismatch on a CU linebacker, and they scored a 75-yard touchdown on it. CU's really got to make sure their linebackers keep an eye on Dylan Edwards and the special teams as well. What do you guys think Dylan Edwards could do to this Buffs defense tonight?
Yeah, I think it's a super fascinating matchup because of the Buffs. They've been tested against really run-heavy offenses, but a lot of them have been based off their power with Nebraska, with NDSU, and especially UCF. So with a speed type of offense and arguably the most well-rounded unit that the Buffs have faced all season, I'm looking to see how those linebackers can play in space and how the safeties can, we'll see if they continue the one-high sets that have largely dominated how the Buffs have run their defense so far. So it'll be a big test for Robert Livingston, and if this is any indication, if he can get an NFL job again, or if he can, continue to establish his resume as a defensive coordinator, tonight will be the night.
And Harrison brought up the one-high safety. Going into the UCF game, Colorado led the country, or was second in the country in cover 1, running it 50% of the time. Against UCF, they switched it up, went to 55% cover 2. And what that does is it allows 2 safeties to be attacking downhill through those rushing lanes instead of just the one. And it showed very successful. UCF, they held them 200 yards under their average. So, and something else with running cover 2 a lot is you get Travis Hunter in an underneath zone. And we've seen against TCU last year, we saw with the pick last week, saw against UCLA. If he's in zone coverage, he messes with quarterbacks. Avery Johnson, a young quarterback, if he has to throw, and that's the other key, make Avery Johnson beat you with his arm, not his leg. So if they stay in zone, they stay in that cover 2 shell, I think it's going to be a big recipe for success for the Buffs, but they can't let Kansas State run all over them, or it's going to be a long night for this defense. I brought up Travis Hunter. Matt, I'm going to ask you, you looking more forward to defensive Travis Hunter or offensive Travis Hunter tonight?
I'm going to say defense tonight. I want to see him getting some key tackles in this run game and then just covering players, like you said, in that cover 2. See if he can read the QB a little bit, see what we can get. I mean, yeah, what Travis Hunter's been able to do so far this season is just crazy.
And we'll flip to the offensive side of the ball now. We know what Travis Hunter can do on the offensive side of the ball. But it doesn't matter if Shedeur Sanders can't get him the ball, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse saying it every week. But the key to this offense is if you keep Shedeur clean, he's going to be able to unleash that ball downfield. Kansas State's secondary is ranked 100th in the country out of 133 teams in pass defense, allowing 244 yards per game. We've seen breakouts, so we know Travis Hunter is always going to get his 80-plus yards, we'll say. NDSU, Jimmy Horn breaks out, UCF, Will Shepard breaks out. You saw in the Baylor game, Omari Miller had the big catch. The key to this offense isn't Travis Hunter. It's who joins Travis Hunter on that receiving core. Who are you guys looking for as that second receiver to really step up tonight?
Well, something you missed is in Colorado State, it was LeJohntay Wester.
I did miss that.
It
It was LeJohntay Wester.
So I'm looking for him and as well as Omari Miller. We'll see if he can start to kind of break into those sets and get himself open. We've seen a lot of him on the field, though not a lot of him catching the ball. So we'll look to see if, we know Shedeur likes to find him when he has the time. So we'll see if Omari Miller can make those catches. And for me, I'm looking for a big LeJohntay Wester game. I know he can really show out when he gets the ball and gets the ball in space. So.
And we know last time in Folsom what LeJohntay Wester did, that Hail Mary. So, Matt, who's your wide receiver you're looking for tonight?
Yeah, I want Jimmy Horn Jr. to really step up tonight. It was kind of the main wide receiver 2 for the Buffs last year. Would like to see him kind of take that role back and just carve up this defense tonight.
Yeah, and something else with the passing game, too, keeping Shedeur clean. Colorado is last in the Big 12 in sacks allowed. They've allowed 18 sacks for 115 yards. Kansas State, on the other hand, their defense is first in sacks in the Big 12 with 12. So it's not going to be no easy pass protection game for this Buffs defense. We know K-State, they generally, unless they change up their tendencies, they're going to rush 4 and they're going to drop 7 in coverage. This Buffs line is going to have to stand strong and stick with it. And something else this Buffs line can't do is commit penalties. We see it with Hank Zelinkus a lot. He gets a lot of snap infractions. You get some holds here and there. Got to win this penalty battle. There's been multiple games this season where Colorado's had more than 10 penalties, and you can't do that against a team that's this good like Kansas State is.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what the right side of the line can do. I know we've seen Jordan Seaton really, come into his own as a freshman, but if we can see Zelinskis as well as Kareem Harden, I think playing on the right guard, and then
I haven't seen an updated line for tonight, but I would assume it's Kareem Harden.
Yeah, and
that's
then
what
Phillip
it's been.
Houston at right tackle.
Phillip Houston.
He, had to step in after the shuffle from Tyler Brown from right tackle to left guard. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they guard off the edge, and then to keep Shedeur clean. I mean, we've said that, it's last in sacks in the Big 12, but it hasn't really felt like too many.
No, it was just the Baylor game was 8 sacks, and the Nebraska game, I think, was 7 sacks.
Right.
So I mean, there's 2 games where it's most of it, but
it's been a little inconsistent. So we're hoping for, we're hoping to see if the Buffs can play, in kind of their good side, their strong offensive line side, which takes communication, which takes, being able to deal with stunts, which we saw them struggle with a lot early on in the year. So
don't get me started on the twists.
Yeah, no,
it's bad.
I do feel kind of confident in, in terms of, just being able to guard a 4 rush. Though if, those zone blitzes come, those delayed blitzes come, if Kansas State tries to mix it up, it's going to be really interesting to see how they guard and, can protect Shedeur.
And then I want to talk about turnovers. Kansas State, their one loss this season was on the road at BYU. They got trounced. It was bad. They got blown out by 30 points. Kansas State lost the turnover battle in that game 3-0, 2 picks and a fumble. Colorado's defense has forced 4 turnovers. They've done it twice. They did it in Colorado State game, and they did it in the UCF game. we know that they can force turnovers. It was slow in NDSU and Nebraska. They weren't forcing a whole lot. Finally got out the gate, broke the seal against Colorado State. But the big thing, and we've seen it, is the linebackers really filling that run, forcing fumbles. You think, we looking at Nakai Hill-Green and Levante Bentley, you think they'll both have an equal game tonight, Matt? You think one of them outshines the other? Or what are you looking for from the CU linebackers?
I mean, these linebackers have been playing downhill and fast all season. They're making most of the tackles from this defense. I mean, I'm looking at both of them. Like you said, I think they should equal in production. I think Colorado only plays 2 linebackers, and then they have that nickel back in there.
Yeah, generally a 4-2-5 look.
Yeah.
So they can get Hodge, McKinney, and Hunter on the field.
Yeah, so those linebackers are huge for Colorado, stopping that run. Really big deal.
And someone else we saw last week was Jalen Wester, the brother of LeJontay Wester. He's the one who forced the fumble on that Cam Silman-Craig 93-yard fumble return for a touchdown. So I wonder if we'll see more of Wester this week as well. And then there's the final part of the defense. Shiloh Sanders is coming back today. We all know Shiloh Sanders is in his 6th year, veteran presence in this defense. He's great. He's been out since that Nebraska game with a broken forearm. And Cam Silman-Craig has really stepped up as the leader of this defense. And then Carter Stoutmeyer at the other safety. He's been playing well. We've seen some Riley Smith, the third, in there as well, number 6 for the Buffs. But Shiloh, I want to know what you guys think. Shiloh right now, he's listed as second string on the depth chart. Do you think it's going to be good to have him back tonight? You think it might be a little weird with his penalties and his rust? Or what are you guys thinking on that?
I think it'll be a net positive. I know you mentioned him being second on the depth chart, but I can't imagine he's not the safety out there on the first snap.
Yeah.
So Coach Prime, when he talked to the media, he said that Stoutmeyer would still get some sets, so we'll still definitely get some work from Stoutmeyer. Maybe they're going to try to ease Shiloh back in with the forearm injury he's coming off. But it's going to be fascinating. I mean, he forced 5 turnovers in 2023. I mean, 11 in his career. And for the Buffs to win this game, I'm looking to see an early turnover. That's what really snapped and sparked momentum against UCF 2 weeks ago with Preston Hodges' interception in the end zone. So if Sanders or someone else in the secondary, can communicate and force one of those early turnovers, as we've seen from Johnson, sometimes a little bit shaky, 3 turnovers in his last 2 games. I think, winning the turnover battle will be one of Shiloh's top priorities.
And you brought up Johnson. Johnson's thrown 4 interceptions. His touchdown to interception ratio this year is 9-4. 6 of his 9 touchdowns are on busted coverages against man coverage where they leak a wheel to the tight end or a running back out of the backfield. And all 4 of his interceptions have been when targeting the middle of the field at all levels. So look for the Buffs to try and really lock down that outside of the field because they know that Avery Johnson is not his most comfortable when he's throwing to the middle of the field. So turnovers, man, it's gonna be a big one. And like you said, I like how you brought up momentum. And if they can get an early turnover, here's my thing. We know Colorado's built to. If they're down 10-0, it's fine. They have a quick, fast-hitting offense. Kansas State, when they're running the ball, they're not built to come back, and we saw that against BYU when they fell down and it just unraveled quickly. So, you guys think we'll take a first quarter prediction from you to start. What do you think is going to happen in the first quarter? You think the Buffs are going to set the tone here to start the game, or you think they might come out lackadaisical like they have a couple times?
I would like to say they're going to come out here and set the tone. Having Shiloh back, that's huge. What Harrison was saying, a first quarter turnover could really change the momentum of this game and how it's going to play out. So I look for the Buffs to come out strong in this first.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's been interesting to see whether they start fast or slow. I mean, even against UCF where we completely pulled away, and even against Colorado State, still wasn't the strongest start, but we were able to just break in, put together a few good drives, and that really got the offense rolling. So play calling is going to be something I'm looking for in the first quarter, and I think if that can be sharp from Pat Shermer and the crew, then, and especially the run game as well, we haven't mentioned that at all. If they can start to establish at least a little bit of the run, that can be a really positive trend in terms of if the Buffs can ultimately take the victory.
And we got Shedeur Sanders. If you guys hear the crowd noise in the background, we got Shedeur doing his traditional watch flex to the student section. They love it. So, run game last week, Running backs had 24 carries for 113 yards. It's not counting Shador's 5 for 15 because sacks, college football rules suck and whatnot. That's only 4.7 yards a carry, but that's all this offense needs. And I've loved the balanced three-headed attack of Dallin Hayden, Micah Welch, and Isaiah Augustive. Hayden was a little injured in that UCF game. 2 weeks now, he should be fully good to go. And we saw Michael Welch had 2 rushing touchdowns. It was crazy for a Deion Sanders-led football team to see a running back have 2 touchdowns. Everybody had their mind blown. And that's the other thing too. We've seen it in the past. This team's not going to win if it's just, hey, Shador, go throw for 550 yards and throw the ball 55 times. They got to establish some threat of a running game, even if it's just getting 2 yards a pop, 3 yards a pop. You just got to be able to keep Kansas State on their toes, because with a guy like Dallin Hayden, with a guy like Michael Welch, they will be able to break one off here or there. They're good players. This is how it is. You see it in the NFL. Guys will run for 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, and then they'll break it 10 yards. So it's important for them to not get away from the run game too. But yeah, we got a beautiful night at Folsom Field too. Home field advantage is big time for this team. Kansas State's 3-0 at home this year. They're coming on the road tonight. They're 1-1 on the road. That loss at BYU, and then they had a close win at Tulane. My apologies. And we got the 100th anniversary of Folsom Field this week. 100 years ago, they beat Regis 39-0. Did you guys see the pictures from that one of the stadium? And there's like no buildings in the background. Yeah. It looks weird.
How times have changed.
I think RK from DNVR tweeted that one out. It looks weird, but you saw it last week. Or I keep saying last week. The last time CU was at home, this crowd really got into it in that fourth quarter, and they really made it hard on that Baylor offense, and they were a factor all night. This crowd, we got a gold rush tonight. This crowd should be the loudest we've heard it in a long time here at Folsom Field, given the stakes of this game. And we won't have to deal with any rain, it looks like. Looks like we're going to be around in the 60s most of the night, too. Good night. I think the turf is fully recovered from the guy who drove his truck onto the field in that hit and run a few weeks ago. Last home game, there's a little scuff mark on the turf. You could totally tell.
I think there might still be one.
CU Buffs turf they're a great group of people.
Yeah, they're trying.
They did a good job on it, but yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Just about the home field advantage. I am psyched for this atmosphere. Just in general, seeing the student section fill in as we speak has me, just ready to see what it's going to be like during the game. These are 2 teams that have plenty of history. This is the 67th meeting between Colorado and Kansas State, but it's been almost 15 years since the last time. So that history in the Big 12 there were plenty of bouts with the Wildcats that we had. So, we lead the all-time series in 45-20 to 45-20-1. And in Boulder, we've been able to pull off 28 wins to Kansas State's 5. So, I'm looking to see if home field advantage can be a factor, especially because this Wildcat team hasn't fared too well on the road. Came really, really, really close. Kind of a ghost pass interference call away from almost losing to Tulane. So I'm looking to see how the Buffs can start, and then we've seen how the second half defense can perform. If that can continue, I think the Buffs have a great chance to overall win.
And that student section lines up against the south end zone here at Folsom Field. For all you guys who've been to Folsom Field, you know what it's like. And that makes red zone offense a real challenge, and it really helps CU's red zone defense. They're 7th in the FBS and red zone defense this year, holding opponents to 0 points over a third of the time. That's ridiculous to have a team that gets that many stops in the red zone, especially with a team who runs the ball like Kansas State, Matt. I feel like the red zone's probably going to be the make or break area of this game tonight.
Yeah, red zone and then also fourth down as well. I mean, K-State's 5 for 8 on the year on fourth down, and a lot of those are coming in 4th and 1 situations.
Yep.
On the other hand, the Buffs only 2 for 8 on the year on fourth down, and many of those on 4th and 1, we have been stuffed running the ball on 4th and 1. So there's 2 opposite sides to the story there on fourth down for these teams.
And if part of the thing with the CU 2 for 8 on fourth down, if we go back to early in the season, when Pat Shurmur loved running inside zone from shotgun on 4th and 1, felt like I was watching the 2021 Broncos with Drew Lock as Drew Lock's career withered away with Pat Shurmur calling the plays. So hopefully if CU gets into some 4th and shorts, we see some better play calling, because I felt like that was half the battle. It's just, you can't, they're shooting themselves in the foot before they even snap the ball with alignment, with personnel. And that's stuff that we've seen get ironed out. Like they ran a zone to Charlie Offerdahl on 4th and 1 from spread.
Right.
That's never going to work. So that is going to be a big part of the game. And play calling is so, so important. And you got Pat Shurmur for the Buffs, and then you got Matt Wells, who is the assistant offense coordinator for Kansas State. He helps call plays along with Chris Kleiman, the head coach for the Wildcats. So, and then one more thing I want to talk about is it's late. We're still 78 minutes from kickoff right now, and it's 7:06 p.m. Mountain Time. Does this late start, do you think that this late start has an effect on the players as they're getting ready for this game, especially coming off a game where they're playing at 1:30 at UCF?
Right, and last year you had games that would start at 10 a.m., so it's tough for any player to wake up and then have to wait the entire day to play the game that they love. And, you get anxious, you get, kind of jittery at times. It's natural, it's human nature. But whoever can overcome that the most, I think, whatever side does that, can get off to that hot start we've talked about. And just to real quickly add a point on the red zone, Kansas State, 6 of their 9 touchdown passes have been to the tight end, kind of leaking off and counteracting that run game. And I'm really looking to see if the Buffs can be ready for that kind of situation, because if Kansas State can, just have the Buffs guessing about the run or the pass, especially in tight end scenarios, that's going to be a really, really, a really telling factor in terms of how the Buffs can defend and how they can deal with this atmosphere, because of, it's so late, and we had games last year like Colorado State. The Buffs got off to a really rocky start because of, maybe in part due to that late start time, having to wait the entire day. Obviously this is much more tested, much more seasoned unit, but I think that would definitely be a factor.
Matt, what are your thoughts on the late start time?
Yeah, like Harrison was saying, you get a little jittery. You want to play now. You don't want to wait 12 hours after waking up. You got to eat 3 meals before you play the football game. I mean,
think about those big boys. They're putting a lot of calories in their belly before that game. When a 10 a.m. game, there's not as many.
Yeah, but I think once the first couple plays happen, everybody's going to settle in. It'll be fine.
Get hit once or twice.
Just get hit once and you're good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. So, and then last thing, we need some score predictions, total score predictions from you fellas. We're gonna do regulation, we're gonna do overtime, we're gonna do 5 overtimes. What do you got?
I think this is gonna be a really nip and tuck game. If Kansas State wins, I'm not shocked. If Colorado wins, I'm not shocked either. Though ultimately, I'm going with the Buffaloes tonight. I think the home crowd will have an effect. I think Shedeur Sanders, I think he has a really solid game. Isn't really dealing with a stellar secondary tonight. Though if, the Wildcats, they're a fast team, but they're not finesse. They're physical. They can play really up and down the field, and that what I think will make it a really close game. But I'm sticking with the Buffs, 30-27.
I got Buffs 35-31. I got a high-scoring game. I mean, both of these defenses, they're getting into their stride, but I just think these offenses are too powerful tonight, and we're going to see some points on the board.
I got 38-31 Buffs, same deal. It's going to be high scoring, and we talked about earlier, it's going to come down to who forces the important turnovers when, and it's also going to come down to the middle 8 of the game, the last 4 minutes of the second quarter, the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. That's where, if a team plays their cards right, they can score 14 points in a row without the other team getting the ball. But yeah, I love these defenses, and CU's rushing defense is good, but these are just 2 very good offenses, and there's nothing wrong with that. We got, who says the Pac-12 is dead? We're in for a Pac-12 after dark matchup, a big shootout. Even though K-State's not a Pac-12 team, it's always going to live in my heart with the Buffs. We got one last night with Utah versus Arizona State. Pac-12 after dark's never going to die.
Never.
It's never going to die at Folsom Field. We're going to have a thriller. We're going to have a shootout. 38-31 from Colorado. But that's all we got for today's pregame show. Got ahead of myself. We will be back here with a postgame show on the ScoBuff Sports YouTube and on the ScoBuff Sports Instagram. For all you Instagram people, come to the YouTube people. We want to see you in there if you want to hear us on these mics and headsets. So, but yeah, for ScoBuff Sports, I'm Trent Finnegan.
I'm Harrison Simeon.
And I'm Matthew Spivack.
And go Buffs.